All right, guys. Sometimes you are wrong in life, and I thought that there was no 24-hour sun. In fact, I was pretty sure of it. The sun does circle you in the south. You should be able to accept that the sun does exactly what these guys said as far as circles the southern continent. So that's about it. I realize that I'll be called a shill for just saying that.
Well, you all know the story by now. This is Jeranism, somebody who is possibly now the most famous flat earther on the planet. He recently accepted an all-expenses-paid trip to Antarctica where he could witness for himself the 24-hour sun, something that will be impossible on his flat earth model, and it has completely destroyed his worldview. He's become quite famous off the back of it too, featuring in mainstream news like we see here, and being covered by some of the biggest channels on YouTube, such as Some Ordinary Gamers. And in a recent live stream, it did appear that the penny was starting to drop. Now he's had a chance to process what he's seen, he might seriously be questioning his delusional flat earth beliefs.
The sky matches the sphere. That the sky can only be explained on a sphere. Am I ready to say that I'm living on that sphere? Well, I'm going to keep it open for a little while to see if anybody has any better ideas, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is the end result, to be honest.
Now, in my opinion, he will remain a flat earther, and I'll explain why I say that later on. But this video really isn't about that. It's about the backlash he's receiving from the flat earth community and how, in all honesty, he only has himself to blame. Now, the backlash has been quite horrible. He's been targeted with videos calling him a shill, he's had hate messages. It all seems to be rather unpleasant. And it does seem he's getting to the point where he's simply had enough.
Now, if you can't face facts and you instead want to call me names, you instead want to call me a sellout for going somewhere and then telling you the truth about it, fuck you.
So why do I say that Jeren has brought this on himself? Well, first of all, this isn't a point and laugh and a haha I told you so video at Jeren. None of us are clever for knowing that the earth isn't flat. None of us are clever for knowing with 100% certainty that they were going to see what they saw when they went down there. The point in this video is to highlight something I've said many times before, and that is when you have these conspiracy theorists online with these huge platforms that really are totally scientifically illiterate, which, Jeranism, you are totally scientifically illiterate. When you have these people making up ideas and showing a certain way of thinking to their subscribers, you are creating these trolls, and together you are going to drag yourself down into this toxic pit you've now found yourself in. So let's have a real look at how you did it. And to do this, we're going to compare two videos. One being Jeren's most recent live stream, and the second one being this video here, Is Antarctica a Continent? A video that Jeranism produced in response to an ex-flat earther called Tiger Dan, who is an ex-flat earther because of research he carried out in the past on Antarctica. He learnt that anybody can go there, he learnt about the midnight sun, and he stopped being a flat earther. But at the time, Jeranism wasn't convinced.
Recently, someone who has been studying flat earth decided to look down into Antarctica, and he found out some things that he did not know.
Because I've been concentrating on Antarctica, I started looking into it. I've never really had the compunction to investigate Antarctica before. It's the first time I've really looked into these maps, and it seems that everybody, including the Royal Tub-Thumping Brass Band, has marched through Antarctica, and the flat earthers don't know about it.
So that's Tiger Dan saying anybody can go to Antarctica, something that Jeranism now obviously accepts. But on his latest live stream, he was highlighting a lady on TikTok who was questioning Jeranism, saying, no, you really were not in Antarctica. You had been taken somewhere else to a secret island. And Jeranism, he wasn't impressed with that accusation.
Where they would likely take them is to an offshoot island.
No, that makes no sense. That makes zero sense. Why would you take people to an offshoot island if you have specific observations that need to be made? We definitely fly to Antarctica. To those who messaged me and said I was in Alaska, you're retarded.
Now the question is, why would people who follow Jeranism and follow the final experiment, why would they think that it's possible to be tricked into thinking you're in Antarctica when you're not? It's a very difficult question to answer, unless we go back to Jeranism's video he made for Tiger Dan, in which he said this.
A little in-depth research will reveal the truth, and that's why I'm here. So first thing we should pay attention to, you'll notice that the planes have a peculiar thing missing.
windows. So when do you want to fly people to a certain location and not have them look out the windows unless you are fooling them about where they are flying?
So years ago, Jeranism was training his followers to say, listen, if somebody tells you they've been to Antarctica, the planes have got no windows, they could have been taken anywhere. And yet today, when those very same people that he's been training level those accusations at him, this is how he responded.
We definitely fly to Antarctica. To those who messaged me and said I was in Alaska, you're retarded.
The lady then goes on to question the video of the 24-hour sun that they took while they were down there, claiming that it could be manipulated, and Jaren again responds, and he's not impressed by the accusation.
That's how they had time-lapse footage of the sun, and it's like, you know, like I don't even have a real camera on my phone.
So we should be listening to you. You probably have a lot of good camera
I
knowledge.
could fake time-lapse footage, and I don't even have good editing skills. So the first couple minutes, you already see the green screen malfunctioning because why is his pocket a green screen?
Why didn't you ask somebody before just spouting off your stupid mouth?
I know.
But we can't blame the lady because she's been trained by the flat earthers who came before her to simply just point and look at evidence like video footage and claim it's fake. Because that's what you did, Jeranism.
Again, we could just keeping our eye on what we're seeing in front of us now. Watch that green flag right in front of you. Watch as the shadow goes around in a half circle and then stops and resets and starts over. This is clear evidence that they are adjusting or faking webcam footage in order to prove to you something that is not true.
Next, of course, comes the accusation that anybody involved in this project is, without any evidence whatsoever, some kind of shill or weaponized opposition.
Right off the bat, any flat earther that goes on that trip, in my opinion, is just weaponized opposition.
Yes, exactly. You should thank God for your opinion. It's just a weaponized opposite. Yeah, again, anybody who goes on that trip, clearly, there's good discernment there.
Yeah, Jeranism wasn't impressed, but again, in his response to Tiger Dan, he seems to suggest that pretty much all scientists are weaponized opposition, without, again, any evidence whatsoever.
Worth noting, if you spend 10, 20, 30 years in the military and then you get honorable discharge or you leave or retire, you're then considered a civilian. So if you become an astronaut, you are a civilian astronaut. So when we look closely, we can see that honestly, most of what we think of as science has been militarized.
She then goes on just to spout absolute nonsense as if it was fact. Nonsense that she clearly has never researched whatsoever.
Sundials could not work on a spinning spherical globe.
The sundials don't work on a globe, guys. Did you know that? They don't work on a globe. I mean, go get a globe, little girl. Point the gnomon at the south or north celestial pole and watch the sundial work. Just saying words isn't sufficient.
But that didn't stop Jeranism from simply saying these stupid words in his response to Tiger Dan, where he claims that in Antarctica they blow something up into the sky periodically to fool people into thinking that the sun is still up there, even if it isn't.
Now you'll notice here that they start, when the sun starts getting really low, they'll actually blow a fog or a smoke or could be even snow. I don't even know what they're blowing. But you'll see if you look straight ahead that there's a blower that blows along the horizon. The reason for that is so that people who are down there don't get to see what the sun is actually doing, which is not circling their heads.
Now, Joan, the response that you're getting from your recent content and the observations you made is no different to the response you made to Tiger Dan. You've trained your audience to think in the way that they are now thinking and the way they're responding to you. But there is one thing you said that I do agree with.
And I have no problem with her saying these things. No problem. I have a problem with the people watching it who think it has any credibility.
And that is my entire point, Jeranism. When you have a big platform like she has, like you have, and you are making nonsense up, like if you go to Antarctica, you're actually being taken somewhere else, and you know this because the plane has no windows. Or when you're in Antarctica, smoke being blown up from the ground is stopping people from seeing the sky, trying to fool them into seeing a 24-hour sun. When you're making ridiculous claims like that with your big platform, then you are dragging your followers down into this toxic conspiracy hole. And with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the people that commented on your video, the one you made for Tiger Dan.
Hello, Jaren, it's me. I saw the bit in the video where you talked about no planes on the window, so I agree with you. People don't actually go to Antarctica, they end up in Deception Island. Yeah, I listened to you, didn't I? Yeah, I listened to you too. Check this out. They don't go to Antarctica. Now, make sense the next bit. They go to some location, but who knows where is that for sure. I don't know what that means, but I do know someone who went on a cruise and said the icebergs are fake. I mean, I didn't say anything at the time, but I really think maybe Antarctica could be some kind of Disney park. Wouldn't surprise me, really, with what you've said, Jerenism. I'm with you all the way. Jerenism, I take you so seriously, especially the bit about the smoke blocking the sky out. I thought it was really good, and the no windows bit, very well researched. I take you so seriously that I think we should complain to YouTube about false claims about Antarctica really existing and the 24-hour sun. I think they'll take us really, really seriously. Thank you for all your research. Love you. Jaren, one day you'll be honoured for coming out with all the bullshit you came out of in this video. You'll be remembered for your perseverance and approach to the flat earth. Okay, Jaren, I've been listening carefully to everything you say, and I've got a couple of things I want to add. Antarctica should be melted. It is, you see, the closest continent to the sun, and when we're closest to the sun in January, we're 3 million times closer, yet no one understands why Antarctica doesn't melt. I've learned me good science from you. Tiger Dan's clearly lost his mind, hasn't he? He didn't know that the planes had no windows and they blew smoke in the sky. I'm so glad you were there to tell us all those facts. You know, my sister once said she went to Antarctica to study plankton, but all that really happened was she just got off the boat and played with some penguins. I wonder if her plane had windows. I bet they didn't, you know. I believe every word you say, Jerenism. This video is truth. Great video. Hello, I'm just going to lie like you did. People who've worked in Antarctica say that the sun is never overhead, only on the side. What? The hell does that mean? Space, comma, all year round. Figure that one out.
Now, before I sum up, one last thing.
I used to think that flat earth made you a better person. It makes you a terrible person.
Of course, it's not going to make you a better person. The idea of flat earth is an idea that everybody's life is being controlled, manipulated, that everybody is being lied to about everything. It drives people into a state of paranoia. How on earth can that ever make somebody a good person? And you have sold this idea of flat earth to people. And I know sometimes you might think that you have logically reasoned something that you believe in, but other times you've sold it by talking absolute bullshit, like we've seen in this video, where you're just claiming that smoke is blown into the sky in Antarctica to block the sun out. Now, you might be on the verge of climbing out of this delusional rabbit hole that you've been in, but let's not forget that because of the way you've sold this to many people in the past, there are a lot of people stuck down in that rabbit hole. So rather than maybe call them retarded like you did in this video, and I know sometimes when you get a lot of abuse it's difficult not to strike back, but rather than lash out at them like that, maybe try and find a slightly different tact. I do hope that you snap out of this delusion and you do realise that what you've said has been nothing but nonsense for years and years, and I hope you stick around and actually help people improve their lives rather than continue to misrepresent science, which will only have negative effects on people's lives. So we'll see where this goes. I mean, I have my doubts, to be honest. We've been here before. Jerenism has been part of the Behind the Curve documentary, which not only measured curvature of the Earth, but it also showed that the Earth was rotating. We all know the story of that, and that didn't seem to make one jot of difference. So we'll see where this goes. But for now, bye-bye.